Hola, bom dia. Carl Monton here with the Good Morning Portugal live stream, YouTube channel, and podcast. And yes, Friday today, isn't it? Friday, the 25th of September, 2020. And last week we were with Filomena Pascal, Pascal, I beg your pardon, who is one of our favorite Portuguese language teachers. So it's really nice. It looks like it's becoming a bit of a tradition, an institution here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream to do things linguistic and cultural. And this morning, historical. So no exception. We're talking to Phil Sylvain this morning, who's an expat of some 7 years here in Portugal. But also, it came to my attention because he writes a really lovely blog, a website that looks at, that is inspired by the history of Portugal and his family life and his journey here in Portugal. So really looking forward to speaking to Phil. Writes under the name of Phippé, I've just discovered. And he's had quite a week, actually, here in Portugal, which we'll also find out more about that too. So let us first go to the weather, which I see I haven't called up onto my screen as yet. And whilst that's loading, because it takes quite a lot of computing power, it would seem, normally, to load up all that Portuguese weather, the 300 days of sunshine. Let me tell you, you can see on my screen there, vote now for expatschoiceportugal.com. This is our project now, where we are basically sharing what's good and great about life in Portugal. The functional things. And it started really yesterday with people recommending their favourite bank, because some of the Brits are worried that their British banks aren't going to support them come Brexit, come the actual the deadline. So we were talking about the best banks to be with, and you can go to expatschoiceportugal.com now, and I've ironed out a few technical issues there with web forwarding and so on, which will take you to a voting page, and I can give you the stats currently, and you can beef up the representation and the stats here. We haven't got a big sample so far, obviously, because we only started yesterday. Excuse me, but Millennium, BCP, and Novo Banco are neck and neck in the lead with nominations. So those are the people's favourites so far. If people can have favourite banks, it's kind of necessary evil, isn't it? But BCP and Novo Banco are in the lead currently at the moment. You can influence that. And I've also introduced the categories of best Portuguese mobile company. Vodafone currently leading that. Best Portuguese beer, is it Sagres or Superboc? I'm sure that debate will run and run, but Sagres have that at the moment. And the favorite wine so far is the, excuse me one moment, I just need to have a little sip of water. Yeah, the Symington Estate Altano is in the lead with the Portuguese wine. We're also covering car hire, and at the moment, actually only with one vote because it's a brand new category. But we want to vote for the best Portuguese government office. Where have you had the friendliest and most efficient service in Portugal? Because I know people sing the praises of the Câmara in Cascais. For me, it was Alcobaça. Managed to get a NIF number in the Alcobaça office. So they're in the lead at the moment as the best Portuguese government office. Do go to all the W's, expatschoiceportugal.com, if you want to take part in the people's poll, really, of all that's good and great with the nitty-gritty of Portuguese life over here as an expat. So but please open that up in another tab. Do not go there now and kill the live stream. Over to the weather now, and we're having a look at the capital. 17 degrees, not 70, 17 degrees, although it's nearly that, isn't it, in Fahrenheit. 17 degrees, cloudy, 23 degrees to look forward to, and a lovely weekend of 24 and 25 degrees respectively over the weekend in Lisbon. In Porto, currently 15 and partly cloudy. 20 degrees is the high today, 21 and 23 to look forward to respectively over the weekend. Sunny day in Porto tomorrow, slightly more cloudy on Sunday. Coimbra is 14 degrees at the moment, 22 the high today. Sunny day tomorrow at 23, and a cloudy but 25 degrees centigrade day on Sunday. Faro, 27 degrees to look forward to today. Currently 18 and partly cloudy. High of 26 on Saturday tomorrow, and a high of Sunday of 28 on Sunday there in Faro. So a lovely weekend in Faro. Nice high temperature still in the Portuguese autumn. So a couple of greetings this morning, and then we'll talk to Phil, Phippé. Bom dia from Graça. Good morning to you, Graça. How are you doing? Tudo bem? Como estás? Will Thompson, bon dia, from not getting out of bed except for coffee. Okay, that's a category we need as well, I think, in our expats poll. Best supermarket and best coffee brand, I think. But coffee is consistently good, I find, right across Portugal. Hola, bon dia from a bright but very cool Southampton. It's only 8 degrees, still only 3 weeks to go. Counting down there, people really like this idea of keeping the Portuguese pilot light lit by tuning into the show. So Paul's is well and truly lit there, counting down with only 3 weeks to go to get back here to Portugal. Fantastic. Paul, thank you for saying hi this morning. Hola, bon dia, Carl. Look at this. We're touring for 10 days and are in a place called Burford, Oxfordshire for the weekend. Burford is lovely. I've been there. Only 7 degrees at the moment, climbing to a high of 13, but dry. So have a lovely tour, Claire and Steve. Jesse's here, everybody. Bon dia, Carl. Excuse me. Still got a bit of piri-piri stuck somewhere. We have booked our ferry for next Sunday. Woohoo! Driving down to Coimbra region to our new home we have brought together with another family. So looking forward to the benefits and challenges of communal living. Wow, that's brave. I've some experience of that. Do you know any other shared ownership properties in Portugal or have some insight or advice for us? My goodness, I'm sure some of the community will hear. I mean, you have to give yourselves time, I think, when you're living communally and in community. And, there's a lot of process involved in that. And I think the best place to ask about that, in terms of, the vibes and the like minds and so on, Pure Portugal community. Talk a lot about living in community, off-grid and so on, the more alternative, arguably adventurous ways of life. So Pure Portugal for sure. And PM me, Jesse, if you want my further, should you wish for my further insight, drop us a PM. And good luck with that. Good luck with that. Absolutely. Bon dia, Carl, or boa sorte, as we say in Portugal. Bon dia, Carl. Sunny but chilly here in Brixham in Devon from Penny. Where were you last night on the wine club? We had the best wine yet, probably. The Altano the week before and last night's was absolutely lovely. That was the Cutada Velha. And we had a thumbs up from some Portuguese people who were watching us Gogglebox with wine people, the wine ninjas last night. It was a really good evening. Well chosen, Frank. Frank, my co-host tonight on the Expat Man Cave. Tell you more about that towards the end of the show. And good morning, Penny, by the way. Thank you for saying hi. Vento, Emil Viazara. So windy in... Gary's windy this morning, everybody. Stay clear of Alvazra. Hola, bon dia. Filomena, here she is, who I mentioned before. Filomena Pascual, Sol in Miranda de Corvo. Sunny in Miranda de Corvo. That's so British, Filomena. We've got you talking about the weather. That's a good one, Grasser. Communal living experiment for sale. Get PM Grasser about that. Okay, Phil Phippé has been very patient. I made it sound like he was impatient. Very patient, waiting to join me. Good morning, Phil. How are you?
I'm doing fine. It's a nice morning. I can see out and I can see that there's not much wind, and I'm in Nadadouro, which is a freguesia of Caldas da Rainha.
Oh, excellent. Lovely part of Portugal, that. And I hear your lovely Canadian accent, I think, there as well.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well suited, I think, to a nice, easygoing conversation this morning. I love Canadians. Not met a bad one yet.
That's good.
Good to know, right? Okay, so you came to our attention because of the wonderful stories that you write. I'm not sure if it's you've co-written those with your son or you're inspired by your son. I'm sure you'll tell us more about that in due course. But you've been here in Portugal since 2013, is that right?
Yes, I have been, and it's been great.
Yeah.
Love Portugal.
That's brilliant to hear. So tell us why. What made you come here? And what do you love about it?
Okay, well, we came here. My wife is of Portuguese descent. Her parents came over from Portugal to Canada in the late 50s, and Anna was born in Montreal. So she is Canadian, but she also spoke a lot of Portuguese when she'd go visit her grandmother every summer. So I met Anna a few years ago. We got married, and we were watching a House Hunters International episode. And couple who were in Lisbon, and they decided to move out to the country near Santarém. And after the episode ended, my wife said, "I'd really like to do that." And I said, "Well, I would too, so let's do it." And that,
Brilliant.
yeah, and that was 2010. And then 2011, we flew over and we looked at properties, we looked at houses, and we found a property we really liked. And we decided, okay, let's build a house. So we found a project manager who could manage it from here, because we were going to be in Canada. We were still working in Canada.
Wow.
So we he sent pictures every week of the progress, and we'd have discussions online, and as a result, we got a nice house built.
Amazing. Very trusting process. And obviously you had a good egg there, someone who you could rely on
Yeah,
and trust.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Brilliant.
And yeah, he's Portuguese, but he spoke some English, which was good for me because at the time I didn't know any Portuguese. So
Amazing.
it worked out all right.
And how long did that process take? I mean, that must have been quite, I mean, that could have been a TV show in its own right, couldn't it? You're inspired by a TV show, and it sounds like your project could have been one as well.
Yeah. So we started in 2011. We finished in 2013. So it took 2 years.
Wow.
A year of getting permissions, and then a year of actually building the house.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's an exponential kind of effect with building, isn't there? It's like nothing happens for a really long time. Then you get some foundations, and then as it finishes, you get that incredible mushrooming, don't you, of your property in front of your eyes?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's and we've seen quite a few houses built right around us.
Uh,
So, and you're right, all of them, they sit there. Okay, it's been sold. We know that they're going through the permissions, so it's going to take at least a year, and then they start building. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
dig the hole.
Yeah. Yes, and then the lovely topping out, hopefully, with some Portuguese fizz or something like that. So, how did that work out for you? Were you just waiting and waiting for it to be built, and then as soon as it was ready, you just came over?
Uh, we visited. Oh no, my wife visited actually twice during the build, and I was waiting, and then we came over. We we had an apartment that we were in Lisbon for a few months, like about 3 months until the house was finished,
Okay,
and we'd drive out almost every day to check on the progress.
fantastic, and
It
obviously
was,
get a chance to experience Lisbon life as well.
yes, yeah, I love Lisbon.
Yeah, wonderful city, brilliant capital. Neil says, "Bom dia a todos." And by the sound of it, you didn't know any Portuguese, but you know a whole lot more now. I'm amazed at how many Canadians are drawn here. Why do you think that is? Because Canada looks beautiful too. That's a great question for you there, Phil. You come from a lovely country, so why come to Portugal? Why do you love it so much here?
Well, for it's it's got a much more pleasant climate compared to the part of Canada I lived in. I mean, it's already starting to get quite cold in Canada, and in the wintertime, it's like minus 30.
Wow, nobody should have to put up with that, right?
Yeah, minus 30, wind, uh, ice, deep snow. No, I get tired of that.
Yeah,
So
fair
here,
enough.
it's much more pleasant, but it's not the only reason why. I mean, I love the people here. I love the culture. I love the history. You know, it's the culture is very interesting. You know, when now during COVID, it's a bit different, but
Mm.
uh, I'd watch young boys get off the bus and greet each other, shake hands. They'd kiss the girls on the cheek. It's all very warm.
Mm.
We don't have that in Canada. Canada's not as warm a culture as Portugal. And I think it's very pleasant, I think it also explains why the statistics, murder rates and all those other things are much higher in Canada than they are here. And Canada is very peaceful compared to its neighbor, but it's a very peaceful country.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. Lovely. How wonderful your description there. And you mentioned your love of the history here. We'll get to that in just a moment. But you had a bit of an incident. I was seeing on your Facebook timeline. You've had quite a shocking week.
Yes, yes. There's a house being built up behind us, and I was looking at it the other week, and I was thinking, boy, if anything happens in that house, it's going to come down on us. And sure enough, I'm looking out the window, and I can hear this huge crashing sound, and I can see this truck is coming over our retaining wall.
Good heavens.
And, I mean, it's one of these 18-wheeler trucks. And then I see it had 2 bundles of rebar on it, and I see one of the bundles slide off and into my window, in my back window, like this, which is like right back here. See that?
Yes, absolutely.
Window. That's plastic covering the hole.
Good Lord.
And so, there was an explosion of glass. My wife and I are sitting here, and this rebar comes sliding through at a very fast pace. I'd say hundreds of kilometers an hour. And then smacks at the end of one of our columns in our house. It just chipped it, didn't crack it or break it. And we're just so lucky that we weren't killed or seriously maimed by this rebars flying by.
Good heavens. That sounds awful, Phil.
It was terrible, and I'm getting over it.
Yeah.
But it's not PTSD sustaining, but almost.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it's just the last thing although it sounds like you had a kind of a prophetic sense about it, but the last thing you're expecting to happen while you're sat peacefully in your living room.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you lost a few things. I mean, my concern is that you're obviously patching the house back up. Are there things you need? You're in an expat community here. Are there things that are left outstanding, or that are you in need of anything at the moment?
No. We have some friends here, and 2 good friends of ours came over the next day and helped clean up and move things, and we had our what do you call it? You guys, I think you guys in England call it a sideboard. In Canada, we call it a buffet.
Yeah.
That was destroyed. We had a china cabinet that was destroyed, and all the china inside of it. So now we're working out the insurance to get some compensation for it, but all in all, wasn't that bad. These were more sentimental trinkets, if you will.
Sure.
Yeah, the thing that most was my fossil plate that I bought in Morocco, that was smashed, but 35 euros.
Well, it sounds like you're healing well in all respects with that. And yeah, sort of lots of love to you and Anna, and for your continued sort of recovery from that incident.
Yeah, yeah. So it'll take probably another 3 to 4 weeks before the window is put in.
Yeah.
And Anna was scheduled to go to Canada on the Saturday after this thing happened on Thursday.
Uh-huh.
Happened Thursday, and she was scheduled to go to Canada on Saturday for probably 4 to 6 weeks to see her mother and her daughter. And I said, no, don't leave me.
And she didn't, by the sound of it.
Yeah, she didn't. She's rescheduled her flight.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Oh, wow. Yes. Well, I don't know what to say apart from I hope it can be consigned into history, and glad you're both well.
Yeah, yeah. We survived.
Yes, indeed. The evidence is in front of us. Wow, incredible. So the original reason for us talking is I saw mention of your writing, and why we have on the screen Phippé is that's your nom de plume, as you put it. I suspect you might speak a bit of French.
Yeah.
And what's the origin then? I'll screen share the website, but could you tell us the origin of this project?
It started, well, really it started when we took a family trip to Portugal in 2003. And Peter, who is my younger son, he was 11 years old at the time, and he loved Portugal, and we all loved it too. And he, in particular, he called it Peterville. Yeah, there's Peter,
There he is.
Portugal at age 11. He was about to turn 12 in October, so we're there in July and part of August, and we visited Lisbon, and then we also went down to the Algarve. And so that was the initial inspiration, and I didn't start writing then. I didn't start writing until he came back when he was 22 years old to visit us in 2014. And we traveled all around. We traveled to 20 different destinations. And there goes Abidosh.
Yeah.
And he really loves it. He really liked it. It's funny. He's actually currently got a Portuguese descent girlfriend. She's from the Azores
Wow.
and Canada. So there's actually a very large community of Portuguese in Canada. It's about I think it's 600,000 people that are in Canada. They're Portuguese descent, and most of them are from the Azores.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that's where the Canadian Portuguese are from mainly as well. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of, yeah, I see that.
Grassa as well from Canada originally. That lovely hybrid of Canadian and Portuguese as well. Thank you for pointing that out, Grassa.
Yeah, I've got some British descent too. My grandmother on my mother's side is from Northern Ireland. My
Oh, okay.
my grandfather on my mother's side is from Scotland. So I've got some British descent. No English, like from England, descent.
That's a very small tribe, as it turns out. I think. Those real English people. I don't even know who they are really. It's fascinating, isn't it, how these things evolve and change. And we're
Yeah.
seeing a bit of animation there. So these are the stories that are coming to life in front of our very eyes, that bring together the history of Portugal. And what I find so great about it is that it's bilingual as well, isn't it? And so this is a really good opportunity to learn about the history of Portugal and to learn some of the language as well. So tell us more about how this developed then, Phil.
So after Peter went home back to Canada, I started thinking about some of our experiences. And one of the experiences that struck me as being strange was when we were in Rossio, and a man who was like about my age, he was in his 50s, approached Peter to sell him drugs.
Dear, oh dear.
And I thought, wow, that's really weird. So I remembered him, and so I ended up using him as a character in my story. And I turned it into what he was selling was not drugs, but he was selling special glasses that had Carillion technology, so that you could see an aura. And so I elaborated on it a little bit more so that it wasn't just simply seeing an aura, which is actually caused by an electric field being applied to a metal surface, and then you can see an aura from it. So I said, well, what if this aura is actually the soul of the fossil that you're seeing?
Wow.
So in the story, Peter tests that hypothesis out and looks at through the glasses at some Mulianos, which is, it's got lots of fossils in it, and he says, "Oh, I can see all kinds of blue in there, so I'm seeing an aura." And then later on, he thinks, "Well, I want to go to a place where there are dead people, and I want to see their aura, and then I want to communicate with them." So that's how we ended up going to Alcobaça.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Peter and I did actually go to Alcobaça and took lots of pictures and stuff. So, but in Alcobaça, he, with his glasses on, is able to communicate with Afonso II and Queen Urraca, and he comes to the conclusion that she was probably murdered. And and I actually found pretty good evidence that I think that she was poisoned. She died in 1220, and in the 16th century, King Sebastian digs her up and finds that she's still very well preserved, like unusually well preserved. And he dug up Queen Beatrice at the same time, who was the wife of Afonso III, and she was not preserved at all. So they were stored under basically the same conditions, but Urraca was preserved. So why would she be preserved? There's no embalming going on in Portugal at that time. So a good preservative is actually a poison, arsenic. So she may have been poisoned with arsenic, and that's why she was so well preserved. And then I found a description from a monk in Alcobaça of when they were invaded by Napoleon's troops looking for jewels. So they went in and broke into all these tombs, and they broke into Urraca's tomb and pulled her right out of the tomb and laid her down on the floor. And the monk was so shocked by that. For one thing, he probably wouldn't have seen naked women very many times, but that she was still so well preserved, that her skin, her hair, everything. So I came to the conclusion that pretty much says, yes, she was preserved because she was poisoned.
Incredible. I want to see this brought to Netflix, Phil. these stories are amazing, and you clearly, it's fascinating for you. And I mean, do you spend a lot of time researching Portuguese history?
Oh yes, I do. I spend every day reading a little bit about history. Recently, I just finished reading a book about Henry the Navigator,
Okay.
a
Mm.
biography of Henry the Navigator. It was very good. It was written
In
by,
Portuguese or in English?
oh, in English. I, I, I still, when I do read Portuguese, and then I have a Portuguese teacher,
Uh,
and she cooperates with me on my books. She does, uh, I do the translation, usually using a Microsoft Translator in this particular case, and then I read it, and then she gives me the corrections, and therefore I'm also spelling, and so I learn a little bit of Portuguese by doing this.
Tremendous. What a great process.
I'm probably an A1 aspiring to an A2.
Good for
My
you.
wife my wife is her Portuguese is fluent. She's easily a B2 aspiring to be a C1.
Excellent. What a brilliant household to be with when traveling in Portugal.
Oh yeah.
I love it. And I need to give the website address here for people who want to follow these stories. And I read, I was preparing this morning, I found about the arsenic story. And I love the detail on how you weave these things together, Curlian glasses and arsenic. This is just in like a quick skim read this morning. And so it's a really rich, layered approach you have. Great to find out about Portuguese history. Great to learn the language. And you go to peterexploresportugal.com. So in his 20s now, what does Peter make of this adventure?
Oh, he likes it too, but it stimulated him to start writing as well.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so he's writing, and he's working with two of his friends, and they're writing comedy skits.
Brilliant. So this has put him in good stead, his trips to Portugal. Portuguese girlfriend and a writer in his own right.
Yeah, yeah.
Terrific, terrific. Um, Johnny in over there in Belgium says, Bon dia, what a bad experience, Phil. Fortunately, without physical harm, hopefully the damage will be settled with the insurance. Let's hope so too. Sounds like it, Phil. And Valerie, good morning, Valerie. Canada is very beautiful. Lived there for 30 years. Unfortunately, they have mountains of white stuff and freezing
Yeah,
rain and huge icicles and minus OMG temperatures. My days of shoveling snow are done. I think you sympathize with that, right, Phil?
absolutely, absolutely. It's so much nicer here.
Well, I think we've established that, and we'll raise a Portuguese glass of something to that sentiment. In conclusion, this is a show for the expat community here in Portugal, and you've had such a twist, a plot twist in the last week. Obviously, a horrific one, but clearly we can see you love the country. What's your advice as a little bit of a veteran, I think, or and well established now in Portugal? What are your top tips to people settling here in Portugal?
Um, if you're going to build, get a project manager.
Okay.
It'll save a person who really knows the ropes, and can deal with all the different trades. It helped it. And if you're going to be from a distance, like if you're in the UK and you're building a house here, then it will be a godsend to have a project manager, a good project manager. So I'd say that. And there are some good ones around. We've met not just Jose Campina, was our project manager, but I've met other project managers who are also very good.
Excellent. Good advice. Anything else? Like favorite foods, how to approach the language, how to approach the culture?
Um, learn a bit of Portuguese. It helps. Portuguese will have more respect for you if you've learned a bit of their language. They know their language is hard compared to English,
Mm.
And I read a stat that like 34% of Portuguese are able to function in English, which is very high compared to a lot of other countries. Their education system is very good, and as a result, you have a lot of people, especially in Lisbon. But when you get outside of Lisbon, even when you go to Coimbra, for example, if you don't know any Portuguese, you're going to have a bit of difficulty.
Yeah.
But you don't need to be fluent. You need to know a few words, like to ask directions, to order food, those kind of things.
Yes, and here's an example. Our word of the day today, and the reason I'm choosing this is because how words are constructed, and if you apply yourself a little bit, I mean, this is one of the early words we learn with our kids, young children. You're going to learn about the word for dessert, aren't you? Sobremesa. And then I had to look up the word sobra yesterday because I was joining a Facebook group in Portuguese, and sobra means about, doesn't it? And mesa means the table. So dessert is the things that are around or about the table, by the sound of it, from the literal
Yeah,
translation.
yeah.
Philomena will tell me if I'm right or wrong with that. Anything else you would suggest?
Um, get out and visit the monuments. I love the monuments.
Mm.
It's 3D history.
Yes, what a lovely way of putting it. We talked about Almoral. I think it was on
Oh,
Monday.
I haven't been to Almoral and I want to go. It's on my list. Yeah.
I bet you've got a really long list, like we all have
Yeah.
here. But Phil,
Guimarães,
oh, sorry, go on, carry on.
I was about to say, Guimarães is, the birth of Portugal. And, it was the first capital of Portugal.
Uh-huh.
And it's a great city. The old granite building blocks, the houses are all made out of granite. It's quite amazing to see these buildings that are 1,000 years old.
Hmm. Superb. So that's going on my list as well there, Phil. It's been so lovely talking to you this morning. Lovely to have a chat with you. Go to peterexploresportugal.com to find out more, and that was the website we were looking at. It just remains for me to say to you, bon fin de semana, to you and to Anna.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Phil. Have a good weekend, and I hope all is resolved quickly and peacefully for you with the incident that you had at your home.
Yeah. Actually, the accident was, they believe, was a failed brake on the truck, and that's why it slid down the hill. But the construction company, they were very responsive. They removed the rebar out of my living room. They did it in a professional way. They removed it one piece at a time. He brought in a whole team to take it out. They hired a crane out of Leiria to lift the truck out. And it was amazing how responsive they were.
I'm
And there was a person who died in that. The truck backed over one of the workers
Oh
and
dear.
killed them. Yeah.
Oh
So
dear. Oh dear.
yeah. So this was a tragedy.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And dealt with by the sound of it as well as possibly could be.
Yeah.
Right. Phil, it's been a pleasure to make your acquaintance, and I would like to install you as the resident historian of Good Morning.
Thanks.
All right. Oh,
My pleasure.
there's another
My
question.
pleasure.
We we can't let you go yet. What do you miss from Canada? Says Johnny.
Oh, wow. It's easy. Family. Anna's got a grandson now, and we don't see him enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
They came over here, Anna's daughter and Benjamin came over, I think twice. Yeah. So we just like to see more of our family. We'd like them to come over.
Yeah, of course. That is one of the tricky things being an expat and being away from your family. Absolutely, can concur with that. From Adrian, thank you for your wonderful comments last night, Adrian, on the wine club. Bon dia. Phippé is so calm and laid back. He must never have high blood pressure. What's his secret to be so calm? Partly being Canadian, I think. But what is your secret, Phil?
It's true. I don't have high blood pressure. I never have. I've got a loving wife, which is nice, and I've got a good life.
There you go. There you go. There's the secret. And I think that's a really nice note to end our conversation on. But I hope to speak to you again at some time in the future, Phil.
Sure. Great.
Thank you so much.
Very much.
Bye for now. Bon fin de semana to Phil there. And please go to peterexploresportugal.com and it's a really great insight, historically, culturally, linguistically, a really wonderful thing that he's done there, inspired by his son's visits to Portugal. Now in his 20s, got himself a Portuguese girlfriend and a writer in his own right, as we said there. Philomena, thank you for this. You're right, Carl. Sobre means about, or if I in Portugal, sorry, in Canadian, that'd be about, wouldn't it? But it can also mean on or on top of as well, and the opposite might be sob, under. So that's quite useful as well, isn't it? To under the table as a little colloquialism. That might be useful in a conversation to know what under the table means, as well as sobremesa, our word of the day today for dessert. Need to finish now, but to want to say to you, please join us at 10 tonight for it's the evolution of our expat sport report. Obviously, sport isn't everybody's cup of tea. Certainly, we used to talk a lot about football, which also is a real turn-off for some people. We have broadened, we hope, the appeal of the expat sport report now into the expat man cave, which I think gives you a sense of what the content might be and the whiff of testosterone that you might be aware of as well. So from 10 o'clock tonight, me and my co-host, Frank Devane, Persian Frank as we know him, will be in the man cave, average age 50, blokes of around 50 in the man cave, talking about things that blokes of around 50 in man caves do. Our spiritual home is the Gaz Bar, courtesy of Gary Austin, who I think might even be giving us a tour of his man cave. We welcome that. We welcome tours of man caves, your Dega, your bar, and in the center of your house, perhaps. Frank and I are also going head to head on our role model males who are in the Hall of Fame in the Gaz Bar. It's going to be Anthony Bourdain versus Thoreau tonight, and we'll see who gets picked. We'll do a little mini presentation on each and who will be the man's man from those two, Bourdain or Thoreau, going on to the first on the wall in the Hall of Fame tonight. And we're launching our Man Cave Masterclass, where we get somebody from the community to come on and talk about something manly. Might be playing poker, might be smoking a pipe, it might be gutting a fish, who knows? But invitations are open there if you want to do a man cave masterclass, a gentleman's guide to something. I'm sure Phil will come and do one of those at some point. So do join us from 10 tonight if that's your cup of tea, as it were. Bom fim de semana. Amanhã vamos fazer a vindima da Encosta da Criveira. So that, I think, means it's the wine harvest, another wine harvest or grape harvesting day. You don't harvest wine, do you? Well, we do. Some of us do. But first of all, you have to harvest the grapes. And that is the vindima, which is happening over there at Penella Way, I believe, tomorrow with Philomena. Go to Trips for Brits number 4 to find out more. I believe that's an open invitation and a lovely thing to do, picking grapes in Portugal. Again, another wonderful cultural insight and just an enjoyable thing to do for the whole family. So thank you for that invitation, Philomena. And we'll see you either on the Man Cave tonight or on Monday morning, where we'll talk about what a lovely weekend we've had in Portugal. So take care. Bye for now. Abraços, beijinhos. Ciao, ciao.